Oh, there's the microphone. There we go. There we go. Folks, welcome to another edition. Actually, not another edition. The reboot edition of the Catch Up with Kenzo. I am Kenzo Lee. Guys, if you're joining me right here, right now, you are joining me on YouTube for the first time. I've been doing Instagram for the last 15 sessions, and now I get to reboot it with one of my best homies, one of my best buddies, somebody who I've even shared bathrooms with, and we'll talk all about that. Let's give it up for our guest. Ha ha ha. I led with that. Let's give it up for the wonderful Becky Wu. Everyone say hello. Wait, yeah, I can't hear you if they say hello. You're on. Hi.
Whoop whoop.
Girl.
Give myself a shout out.
Yes, we'll give you a shout out. That's wonderful. How have you been, kiddo?
I'm giving myself a little shout out there.
I like it. I like it. So Bex.
Good. I'm not doing a whole lot at home.
You're not doing a whole lot, but you've been starting to cast a lot of stuff right now. I mean, this basically one of the great reasons that I have this is that a lot of people are asking questions. Yeah, it's gotten busy, right? Kind of came out of nowhere. Started getting busy again. Yeah. We're gonna talk. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, sorry. There's a little slight delay, so I see you mouthing it, and then but this is good.
Welcome,
I preemptively know what you're gonna, because I'm reading your mouth.
Welcome to Zoom. This is what we're doing now. We have to all talk one at a time. You know, it's like a debate, like a real debate. Sorry, that was too much of a timely joke right there at that point. Bex, let's talk a little bit first and foremost. We met like 12 years ago? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it was 2007, I would believe, when we did Mouse.
13 years ago, you and I met on the set of a short
think somewhere
film.
On there.
It was a short film where you were playing drunk, I was playing drunk. Our first scenes together, we were partying in a Korean nightclub karaoke place. We were both on toilets. It was a lot.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. But you know what? The funny thing is, right before this conversation, we're talking about poop again.
We were talking about poop.
It came full circle. We were.
Somehow or another, our conversations always involve poop, I guess. There is a slight delay right now. That's what I'm hearing. That's okay. We're not going to worry about it. Okay, so apparently you dropped a pound, 1.2 pounds of poop today. Is that what you were saying this morning?
Yeah. So I'm on this thing, right? It's called the Metabolism Coach. It's not a plug, but she's amazing because this is the first thing I've ever found that I'm like, this makes sense to me. This makes sense to my age, the hormones I'm going through, because I've tried everything under the sun. I've tried keto, and I did keto for 2 months with intermittent fasting, and I lost
Yeah.
2 pounds. Okay, not cool, not cool. So when I started this, I've only been on it for about a little less than 2 weeks, and I'm already down 8 pounds. But not
Oh.
only it's just like I have such more clarity. I'm sleeping on a regular hour. Like by the time like last night at like 10:30, I was like, "Whoo, it must be like 1 in the morning." And I looked at the clock. I was like, "Oh, it's 10:30. I'm exhausted. I can sleep." And I wake up at like 7 or 8 o'clock because whenever I want, I'm gonna do whatever I want because there's nothing to do. And I would sleep at 3, 4 in the morning, marathoning some show, and I won't wake up till like noon. And it was awful. Great,
Wow.
but awful at the same
Yeah,
time.
I mean, like, I think it's like a really heavy reset, or a really, really heavy. That's a lot, taking a lot of crap out. If you're dropping 8 pounds in 2 weeks, that's a really hard
Yeah.
reset on your
But boom.
metabolism. That's a bunch of crap that you're just getting
Well,
out
I
of
think a
there.
lot of it is it's a lot of metabolism changes. It's a hormonal adjustment, hormonal balance. It's a lot of water weight being just released. Yes, of course you're gonna like when you do anything. If you do something like that, there's a lot of it's just water weight in the beginning. But
Sure.
the fact that like I've lost inches, I feel better about it. I don't feel like every day I'm like, when is this over? I cannot wait. Because that's when this is something that I'm like, I can keep doing this. I feel great. I want to keep eating this way. Like I look at vegetables differently now. I eat vegetables. You would think I'm like a little boy. Like I hate vegetables. I just want meat. But and back to what Kenzo was saying about the 1.2 pounds. I woke up in the morning and I weighed myself and was like, well, okay, that's I didn't lose as much as I thought I would. And
Oh,
then I
well.
went
Drop
to
the
the
number two.
bathroom, dropped some kids off at the pool, jumped back on the scale, and it was 1.2 pounds.
That's insane. That is actually hilariously insane. Like we have one of those digital scales that it won't tell that difference. So we've tried that. Like I would wake up in the morning and before my daily BM, I'm gonna try and weigh myself, and it didn't measure the difference. And I was like, I dropped off a whole minivan of kids off at the pool right now, and nothing showed up as a difference. And I was like, I almost kind of got a little upset about it. And then I realized it was because it doesn't reset, because it doesn't want you, the scale for some reason doesn't want you weighing yourself over and over and over again to drop those micro
Wait,
poundages.
that's weird because I have a
My
digital
digital
scale.
scale. I don't know. Maybe my
Oh,
digital scale just
okay.
hates me. I don't know. Maybe it's probably something to do with the fact that it just doesn't like me. Okay, let's stop talking about the bullshit. um, and
Literally.
let's really dig into this. Let's really dig into the crap. You have been an actor first and foremost for the last Lord knows how many
Yes.
years, but you transitioned into casting. How exactly did that happen? How did you find casting to
Yes.
start off with?
Well, to make a long story short,
We have all the time in
I've
the world. We can
always
make a
been
long
to all
story
these
really long,
workshops, and
kiddo.
that's we're gonna lose the two people that are living, right? How many?
Oh,
Right
yeah.
on. I have no idea. Thanks. Um, right on. So I started. I've been to a bunch of workshops as an actor, and the first question we always ask the casting director is like, "How did you get into this?" And their response is usually like, "It fell in my lap," and I'm like, "What does that mean? How did that happen? How does that just happen?" Well, when people ask me now, it's like it kind of fell in my lap.
Really?
I've been doing in front of the camera for so many years. Was doing in front of the camera for so many years that when I had a friend through a different, like I had a Bible study, and I met this person that was a casting director at the time and needed some help, and I helped him um, when he was shorthanded, and he saw how easily I took on the role of the casting side because for me it was just so familiar with because I've always been on the other side, so I
Sure,
assumed
sure.
the opposite of what I needed to do, and I picked it up. It was very intuitive. Now I will say it's not always intuitive because I've had a lot of assistants or had some assistants that would try out, and I thought it was like an intuitive thing if they're actors, but not necessarily.
Right.
So
Cause,
no,
well,
not at
well,
all.
acting is a very, very, unless you are a character actor in a lot of ways, acting tends to be very kind of self-involved, self-focused, and what have you. And unless you're constantly used to being an ensemble or being a piece of a puzzle, I can definitely see how folks would think more about the me aspect of it. I think that's one of the major benefits for you.
That's
is
what
you,
I realized.
Yeah, you're an actor first and foremost. You know what not only we want to hear, but you also in some ways have a really creative vision because you've been an actor, because you see it and you see the performance more than I'm sure that some people even in production would see it, because you know it better, which is very, very cool.
Well, it's very interesting because I also have a very business mind. Just I think it's just genetically I have a very business mind
You can say it. It's
way
an
of
Asian
thinking,
thing.
and obviously I'm
we do really good at math. It's okay. You can say it.
well, I don't know if it's being female and just being being attentive to the little things and paying attention. But yeah, so like when I walk into a room and I see a casting director and they're giving like commercial wise, if a commercial casting director is giving explanation, I'm watching them and watching what's happening. What are they filming? How are they filming me? Like what do I need to do? Things like that. Not only am I listening to what they need me to do, but there's just all this peripheral stuff that I pick up on just intuitively. And so it worked in my benefit when my partner at the time, when I was offered a small position in the office, and he just saw how that he offered me a position to be his partner. And I became his partner for about 4 years at that casting office. And then after that, we parted ways, and I started my own casting office Orange Street, and been thriving and super blessed and super, super lucky.
Yeah,
like that's how it fell into my lap. It wasn't like I was seeking to become a casting director at all.
And it's amazing that you've been so
so
busy.
But even like right now with
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go right ahead.
Okay, sorry. There is a delay.
There is a slight delay.
I'm talking, and then I'm like,
I'm kind of wondering whether I think it might potentially be from your earbuds. I don't really 100% know, because I'm hearing your voice.
Oh, you think so? Let me
I'm hearing your voice before you start talking.
Let me try.
It might be headphones.
Let me try.
It might be way too much digital. Yes.
Sorry, didn't mean to leave.
Hi, there you are again.
Put these away and see if that makes a difference.
Is it helping? Is it helping me if I talk? Does it help a little bit?
I can't hear you anymore, actually.
Oh, you can't hear me. Uh-oh.
I'm going to have to put them back in because somehow...
Welcome technology, everybody. Oh, there we go. Turn it back on. Oh, and now we're jumping back in. Cool.
I'm back in.
And you're back. Cool.
Okay.
So the screen went.
I'm back.
It's all good. All right. So here's my question to you. So I ran back into you when you started casting, and I was like, holy crap, Becky's casting stuff. And you were bringing people in for big stuff. I'm not going to name your clients because they're still your clients. But you have a really great ability to find people for roles and bring them in. I feel like it's no frills. I feel like there's no BS when I go in for you, as opposed to other casting directors where you kind of feel like I feel like you have a very singular vision, which is really, really wonderful to have. And you're very specific about the things that you give to your actors. What advice could you give to actors right now who are trying to get into the room, first and foremost, like trying to get into the room with someone like you?
I mean, to try to get in the room, the virtual room now. Okay, let me just start by saying during this COVID, the jobs have stopped from obviously mid-March all the way until, there was a few commercials here and there with some casting offices in July. Now, when August hit, it was like the floodgates opened and people were like, we had to turn jobs down because it was just like too many to handle. All the advertisers wanted projects out, and it was just insane.
They want to finish them before they want to finish them before their fiscal year ends in October, right?
For that being one, but they also want to finish it if it gets shut down again.
Right.
So
that's a good call. Get it shot, get done. Yeah.
Right. And so I would say like the only way so there's a difference between SAG and non-union jobs. I do a bit of, like, I have a SAG job coming up probably next week. Right now I'm on a non-union job. So it's easier to see non-union because we generally open the breakdown on casting networks, which is the majority of what commercial casting offices use. Some do use Casting Frontier, some do use breakdown services or Actors Access now because of the like EcoCast Live or Casting Frontier situation where you can audition people via Zoom, quote unquote. But it is easier for me to see people that submit for non-union projects, because generally for SAG projects, there's enough agents out there that submit. I wouldn't post a project out publicly unless I'm looking for a specialty.
Right. Right. So right
there's
now,
a huge
So
Sorry?
right now getting in, no, you're good. So right now getting in the door is, if you're an unknown, if you don't have an agent, if you're not repped right now, being non-union is definitely the way to go in terms of getting in front of new casting directors, or getting in front of casting directors as a new face.
I mean, a lot of casting directors were putting out, like, do this, we're watching monologues right now. We're do a self-tape and we'll see your work. There's a lot of options for actors to try to get to be seen, by, especially during this downtime. Now, everything that's ramping up right now, it's probably a little bit harder, just because we're so busy now. But yeah, I would say as a SAG talent, it's generally through a referral or through your agent, through a pitch in some way, because it is there's in one submission for one role for a SAG project, I could see up to 5,000 people.
And that's actually the next thing I was about to ask you right now is, like, I don't think a lot of people realize how many people get submitted for every job. So, like, could you just, like, walk me through the process of, like, from breakdown to people that you, from breakdown, how many you submit, to how many you see, to what we're looking at in terms of, like, callbacks and stuff like that? What is actually the kind of the numbers that are a better feel for it?
Pre-COVID or COVID?
Let's do both. Why not?
Okay. So pre-COVID, I would say, generally speaking, I think most casting directors for I'm just speaking commercially. I'm not talking theatrically. That's a whole different beast and a whole different world. Commercially, I would say for every one role you're looking for, you pull in for the audition 30 to 40 for the audition.
How many people were being submitted at that time, though?
If I put out it just depends on the category. If you have, but if you're like a category between 21 to 35, white male or white female, holy moly, that number can shoot
5,000,
to
10,000,
4,000. Yeah.
And
yeah,
this
it's rare that it goes to 10,000, but like.
But we're talking in the period of time. There's also, I mean, like, you send out a breakdown. We're talking like within 2 to 3 hours, you're getting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 submissions, because every agent in town is throwing their talent at you if they have multiple people in a category.
Right. And usually in the commercial world, it's, you can have 10 types of Kenzo with an agency, 10 types of Becky with an agency, because it's commercially, it's of course it's about talent, but a lot of it is about the look. So if you have just a slight difference in look, it's okay. You can have, obviously personalities are different, but in commercial world, you can have multiple people that are very similar.
Right.
So I will get, and to me, it's fine to see that submission of very similar guys, because that's what my client is looking for. Which out of these similar guys are you going to choose? You know?
Right. And then, so you get your 30 to 40 people, and then we go into auditions. And you see those 30 to 40 people. Some people probably hit it on the nose. Some people are, not as much, not what you wanted them to be. And then for callbacks, where does it go back to at that point?
So callbacks, I mean, ideally, we would want anywhere from the lowest amount is probably like 5, but in a safe space, it's probably like 10 to 15 for a callback for that one role in a safe space.
And so, but is that usually based upon your choices, or is that based upon maybe what production is asking for? Does the director like the choice of number?
It's normally for my casting. I know not all castings are the same. So there's some casting offices, the casting director may select for the callback for the clients and just show them these are who we think you should see and these are who we think we should bring back. For me, everybody, unless it's somebody that's like, this clearly is not a tape that I should send forward. But generally, I don't like to hold anybody back. I'd like my clients to see it all, and they make the selects.
That's interesting. That's
a lot
interesting,
of commercial. It again. There's two ways to do it. Casting can select it and show the clients, and they'll approve it and be like, "Yep, these are great options," or just send the whole thing to the client, and director will make selects. Now, director will make selects, agency will make selects. Everyone will have their own selects, and you correlate the ones that are
that's really
blend.
interesting, and that really is based upon that is based probably a lot upon the client, a lot upon the relationship with the client. That's very fascinating to know that.
Yeah,
because I always assumed that the casting director was the final say in that. That's really interesting.
No.
And I
no.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I think that a lot of actors get into the idea that we have to, when you're trying to win the room, you're only trying to win the person who is actually in the room, which would be casting. But I do know that a lot of times I've been called into producer sessions or callbacks with a director that I've worked with before. Or
yes.
by that token, also direct-to-call. That's what direct-to-callbacks can tend to be as well, too. And I know that you guys. Okay, actually, that's a better way. Why don't you tell me how direct-to-callbacks tend to work for you? Because some people don't really know how they work.
Oh, direct-to-callback is generally if a producer, a director, or somebody goes, "Hey, I like Kenzo. I worked with him in the past. He's right for this. Can you call him?" I'd say, "Do you want him to see a first? Do you want to see a first call on him?" No, I don't need to. Sorry, it froze for a second. Did you catch everything I was just saying?
Yes. Sure
okay,
did.
Cool. And they would say, okay, we don't need him for a first call. Just send him straight to callback.
Right. So then you'll just go straight to the callback session instead. You'll just be letting they won't even know about the first call. You'll walk right into a callback, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it's the connection that you want it to be. I mean, that fortunately happened with me on 2 consecutive commercials with the same director. He ended up casting me, and then 2 days later, I got a direct callback with him because he had just booked me on one job and then ended up booking me on another job, and I shot them in back-to-back weeks because of that.
That's amazing.
Situation, which is amazing.
That's
Absolutely
amazing.
Phenomenal. Wonderful situation to be in. Never actually heard of it happening really before or since, but he was definitely one of those people where he's like, "No, I want you to come back in for this callback." They had already done the first call for when I booked this other job, and he brought me right back into the direct to callback.
Right.
So you have your 5 lucky, if you're 5, maybe 10 to 15 maximum for the callback. Then we go into what we like to call our avail time or pins. And are those based upon, those are completely based upon the client, right? So how does that work out? Is there usually like a choice for the director, a choice for the producers, choice for the client?
I will say this is generally what happens in the room. The clients are the brand, right? The agency is a creative, and the director is also the creative, in some way. So the people that make the selects in a callback are the agency creative as well as the director. Depending on how big the director is, that can pull a little bit in whichever direction,
Okay.
If you're working with Mark Webb, which we did in a project years ago, he's a prominent, very well-known director. If he likes something, most of creative team would be like, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think that's a good idea too."
Yeah.
Of course, they have to, appease their client's demographic for whatever brand they're, promoting and so forth. So, that's that they have to play, that has to take place in some way. But generally, the director will have his top choice. Then you have your backup option. So it's like your recommend, your backup, and possibly a second backup. So be like reco, backup 1, backup 2 kind of a thing. And then we will create links with just those people. And generally hopefully that's all we need. But sometimes if director creative is not on the same page, we have lots of avails.
Sure.
because we don't know what direction we're going to go.
And so that usually tends to be by job. The number of avails is usually not just based upon
Nope.
the people in the room. It's based upon the client and what they want. And you might have that clash between director and client, like at that stage. And that actually permeates into set sometimes too. Because I've been to sets where I knew I wasn't the director's choice. And I could tell I wasn't the director's choice. But the clients loved me, because like maybe I've worked with them before. I've had very good luck with a few really wonderful production offices that have brought me in for some really great stuff and have constantly brought me back in over and over again, and shot with multiple products with the same production company, the same agency, same commercial agency. And it's always been a crapshoot. Like, I'm like, I don't think this director likes me at all. I don't think this director is giving me anything. They're not happy with my choices. What's going on?
There could be a grudge because of his first choice was not allowed.
Or maybe not available, or maybe there was a conflict or something. You didn't know. There's so many things.
There's so many factors that most actors are not aware of.
And that's why actors, whenever someone tells you to win the room, there are so many more things than just do the freaking best job that you can and win whoever's going to watch that tape, because you never know who's going to be watching that tape.
I mean, the most important thing I think is when we see you're having fun in the room, we're having fun in the room.
And you walk out as the actor, this. Remember when you walk out of a room and you're just like, wow, that was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And then when you get the call back for it, you're like, I'm not surprised because I really had a good time in there. And then the callback becomes a stress case.
But a lot of times to say win the room, that puts a lot of pressure on the actor. Like, what do I need to do to win the room? And ultimately, it's just be yourself and have a good time in there.
I love that. I love you. You've said that before. You said that to me actually in the room the first time I went in for you. And it was
really?
You said, just have a good time. I know what you can do. Just have a good time. That's what you said.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Because to me, it's like you could really see the difference when someone's like, what do I need to do? As opposed to, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. I just don't have to be so critical of myself doing it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm in my head and not playing the scenario, whatever the scenario is.
As well, too. You said, what do I need to do? It's kind of that, and I've cast before. I've cast a bunch of short films, and I've done some assistant casting on stuff, and I've been sitting in the room with agents and watched them audition people, and you can almost I use the word desperation in a lot of scenarios for it. You can almost taste it. It's kind of almost palpable. You can tell when someone's trying too hard, doing too much, not trusting themselves.
Right.
And you can even see it if you film yourself doing something and you really push it too hard, or you try to push something. As an actor, you should be able to see, like, oh, this is what they mean when you're trying way too hard. Take it back. Stop worrying so much about it sometimes.
Right. Well, what's funny is that I had this, I threw it on a Facebook one time because I was looking for a reader, and I was like, this will be fun. This will be a fun little experiment. So I threw it on Facebook and was like, hey, I just need a reader for a couple hours. Anybody interested? And this one kid reached out and was like, I'm interested. And I was like, sure, come on in. So he came, he read for me for about 2 hours because he wanted to see the experience, and he read with the other actor. And every time an actor stepped out, I would talk to him about each person and what he saw and things like that. And he had to leave for his audition after that because he just was like blown away on being on this side, seeing how nervous people were coming in when on this side, you're like, I just want you to have fun. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry.
To have a good time. Yeah.
To have a good time. Don't worry about it. Like just as long as you prepped yourself prior and you did your work before coming in, everything, even if you make mistakes, I don't care. Mistakes happen, but as long as you're in character, as long as you're there, things happen, words get mixed up, who cares? As long as you're still in character and having a good time, it just flows, right? So it was funny because he went to his audition and he called me afterwards and was like, I just booked my audition, because he felt so comfortable after reading on this side that they were like, whoa, he saw the difference in what needed to be done.
100%. I feel as if every actor should do something in casting for a while just to get a feel for what you're actually doing. Because if you do it all from one side the entire time, you're never going to actually understand what the difference is, Now, what happened with COVID?
What do you mean? What happened with COVID?
Well, I mean, like,
I think if you don't know, Kenzo, if you
no,
don't
I know
understand what's going on with
exactly.
COVID,
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
I mean,
know
like,
if
how
I
did?
can be the one to explain.
Well, crap. Let me rephrase that. How has COVID affected the process for you in terms of, like, okay, so a few weeks ago we were testing out new apps. I
Right.
came in as one of your people to test out new apps for
Right.
for self-taping and stuff, and Zoom auditions. Sort of Zoom. I guess it's another application very similar to the same platform of Zoom.
Right.
How has that affected the way that you? I mean, and in fact, actually, how has it affected not only how you cast, but the timeline of how you cast?
Okay, so let's start with the first thing. The first part of it, timeline wise, in casting, if you needed to bring somebody back into a room, like in person, in a normal day, if you bring hypothetically 30 to 40 per role, and you need to see, you could probably see like 3 roles per day. That won't happen in a day anymore. There's no possible way, because you need to social distance. You need to make sure that they have enough time. You need to sanitize in between each person coming in. And there's just no way. You maybe see 1, maybe 2 roles per day now at most. And if you're that's only if you have no lines. That's just a quick, like, let's slay, let's do a little action, and you leave. But if you have dialogue, forget about it. That's like 15-20 minutes per person, and you can imagine that's 2, 3, 4 people an hour. In a day, you're seeing about 20 to 30, and so the timeline for a casting pushes it out. Like a regular casting that I can cast in maybe 2-3 days for like 7 roles or something, it's going to take a week and a half to cast those 7 roles now, if you see it in person. If you were doing now, on the flip side, virtually, if you're requesting self-tapes, before I would bring in 30 to 40 people, I will now call in 75, 80 self-tapes for the role now.
Like
because first of all,
first
of all, I can't guarantee that person's going to send in the self-tape. You're right. I can't guarantee the person will show up to the audition either, but they did confirm, and I can call their agent if they don't show up. That does affect that. Now, these self-tapes, there are people that are just like, I'm out of town, I don't have a setup, or they send in a self-tape and I'm like, I can't show this to my clients. This quality is so poor. It's so, there's no way they can judge anything off this.
Right.
Even if the actor did a good job, it's like, you just can't see your face. I can't hear you very well. You're having delays, whatever it is. So
backlighting is a real thing, guys. Do not backlight yourself.
Is a real thing.
It is a killer. No one wants to see your silhouette. Everyone wants to see your pretty face. Don't ever do that, guys. I have had to.
Well, no. There's a difference between backlight, because at first I was like, no, backlighting is a real good thing. There's a light that you put in your back that lights it up as well.
Sure,
so you don't have
background
shadows.
Lighting, absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's a different. I mean, and also like a hairline, stuff like that. Like those kinds of things are things that you can kind of educate yourself on with. I think that a lot of actors have started to figure it out. That you have a non-busy background, you do it with a color that complements you. That's the great thing about self-tapes. You can create your space. You can create something that looks really good. Like, for example, me, I got dark-colored hair. I shouldn't be going with a dark gray background. My hair is going to completely disappear into the background, regardless if I have, like, if I have a catch light or whatever on my head. If I do a light gray or a blue, it's going to make me look a certain way. If I did yellow or something, or even white, it makes me look a different way. You actually can kind of control those things as an actor now. But how does it affect your timeline? You said 75 people you can do for a self-tape. Would you go straight from self-tape now? Would you go straight from self-tape now into a callback scenario?
Yes. So that's what we would do. We would first call, because obviously we can't give direction in the room, because it's whatever I give in my video audition self-instructional, or what I write down on a piece of paper, and it's your interpretation of what I've written, with the scenario, with the script, with the treatment, and it's whatever the actor's interpretation, and it could be completely off,
right?
Or at the end of the day. So in situations like that, you need to have a callback, because the director can say, I like this person's look, I liked what he did with, or what he or she did with this. It's not accurate fully, so I can give the direction at the callback see if they can pick up on what I need.
does offering 2 takes help then to give the actors 2 takes?
So what I've noticed is I've asked actors to give me 2 takes. Sometimes I get 2 of the exact same
thing.
take.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm like, and
Yep.
even if I say 2 completely different motivations, 2 completely different thoughts, please give me 2 different ways of saying this, some actors will give me 2 of the same take. And I'm like, there is nothing different about what you just did.
Like
you
the
know?
difference between a
So-
30-second take and a 37-second take of the exact same reactions and stuff.
Right.
There's nothing different. When you say different takes, I think that one of the main important things that actors need to understand is that's not about timing. It's about intention. It's about energy, right? I mean, these are the kind of things that, like, it's like, are you just gonna say the word slower? Is that what you want me to do?
So
no,
I'm
no,
gonna
no.
tell you what a few of them that I got. When I asked
Oh,
for
no.
2 different takes, a couple people sent me a take with no glasses, and then the exact same take with glasses. I was like,
There's my different take right there. Jeez, that's
and then
come
I got
on.
one. I got one. Listen to this one.
Come on.
I got a take with their regular accent, and then I got one with a Southern accent.
Whoa,
But exactly the same reading. I was like, what just happened?
No. Oh,
Yeah.
my
If
sweet
I asked for
majamma
different
jamma.
accents with the same take, that's fine. But this was like 2 separate.
I lost you. Oh, no. Guys, we have lost Becky Wu. Please hold for a few seconds while we try to get her back. Hold on 1 second. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hold on 1 second, guys. All right, guys, you see my pretty face right here. We're going to try and get Becky back really fast. Just hold on one brief second real fast. We will be right back. Yo. You alright? Dude, don't worry about it. It happens. Things happen all the time. No big deal. What's up? No! That's funny. Okay.
Now my
all right.
AirPods aren't working.
And now we've officially switched places also on the screen, which is really funny. All good. No big deal. It's funny. Technical difficulties is all good. The great part about this is I can edit that in the video before I put it on Instagram. No big deal. So you were literally just saying Southern accents, glasses, no glasses. Oh, lost you again. There you are. Where
Yep,
you going?
sorry.
There you are.
It's my AirPods, and it's just this whole thing. And
You're all good. It's all good. We are still, all of us are trying to navigate the waters of technology. I mean, we have this stuff that makes it easier. I can see your pretty face and we can talk about this stuff, but can we keep it going for more than 20 to 30 minutes? We'll find out. So you get these self-tapes with these really weird, not different takes. Do you have the opportunity, like, to call people in, like, and really go, hey, heads up, so you were good, but you're going to have to tweak before you do you do that before you get in the door for the callback for people like that in self-tapes?
oh, always. I mean, that's the idea, is that this is my job at the end of the day. And the more amazing people come in, the better I look at the end of the day.
Sure. Client's
So
happy
I would
if you
hold back on telling, like, they liked you, but their note is this with you. They liked you. This is their note with you. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you have the knowledge, you can adjust it and make it amazing.
Which is why
You know,
be
it's how
directable,
you-
actors. Be directable, please. Like,
That's
take
what
a
it
note.
is. Oh my
Like,
God. Okay. So as an actor, I had a callback the other day for this project. It was a SAG commercial. It was so much fun for the first call. Clearly, I was like, I'm going to get the call back. No problem. Because it was so much fun. So I get the call back. My call time was, audition time was 12:30. I get a text saying, hey, they're moving really fast. Can you get there at 11:10? In the middle of walking my dogs. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't have my makeup on. I'm working my dog. So I'm like, okay. So I raced home from 10:45 to 11:10. I was able to get my makeup on, set up my whole setup, and I log in 11:10 sharp. 11:10, I get in. They go, I'm so sorry. The director needs to take a phone call for 30 minutes. So can you guys log back in at 11:45? I was like, you know what? That's fine. I'll log off. I'll grab some food.
I'm getting stressed out thinking about this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so 11:45, log off. I logged off, grabbed my food, eat. And 11:10, and then I logged back in at 11:45. They said, great, thanks for coming back. We're moving pretty fast. I didn't get seen till 12:45, which was 15 minutes after my original call time.
Wow.
Which is fine because I understand that even though on their end it seems like we're going through people fast, the technological standpoint of things and adjusting.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
100%.
The actual action is pretty fast. Now, not only, they gave us direction multiple times in the hour that I was waiting with everybody else in the room and like Brady Bunch style, right? So, I'm like, great, gave us direction. It was a very simple action. I even stepped off camera, practiced the action because the whole thing was action based. So I just practiced my movements, things like that. I don't know what happened, but they're like, you're on deck, Becky. I was like, sounds great. So I stand in front of the camera waiting to get in and boop, they're like, please join the group. So I join and I see the director says, hi. The camera op says, okay, let's slate your name. I did my name. And he goes, let's jump right into it. Ready and action. And my brain goes blank.
Just like that.
Blank.
Just like that.
Because I don't know if I was waiting for so long or what. I just went blank. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know what? I just needed a second, and he's like, okay, no problem. Let's start again. 3, 2, 1. I was like, hold on. And I was like, no, truly, I am so sorry. I am not nervous. I am a lot better than this. And the director starts laughing. And I was like, my brain went blank and it is not filling with anything right now. So I can see the camera op is like, okay, Becky, this is your action. And obviously giving the same explanation that he's given in the waiting room multiple times, and I'm like, yeah, got it. Super easy. Yep. My brain shut down.
Oh,
literally.
man.
So know that I'm a casting director. I understand what the fears are on that side, and shit happens. Even for me, because I was like,
you did it for 20 years. I've been doing this for 15 plus. It happens to all of us. Brain farts are hilariously honest in commercials specifically. Yeah. It's happened.
The director had to start laughing too. He was like, he's like, this is what you think happens in the Olympics, and I'm like,
it is,
no,
right?
Man.
It's like this
in
is
the Olympics. If they brain fart, is done.
Yeah, this is amazing that this happens to everybody, and you kind of have to laugh it off, and you have to kind of forgive yourself because the truth of the matter is you're gonna audition again, you're gonna work again, and you can't let it take you over. I think a lot of actors psych themselves out more than anything else, So. Let's. I have a question for you about this. So, Zoom auditions, unlike being in the room with somebody, I've been in the room with somebody who was a crap partner before.
Who was a what?
Who was a crappy partner? Somebody you've been paired up with somebody, and you're like, oh, you're not very good. In the room, you can kind of feel that. You can feel that energy difference. You can feel that they're not listening or they're not communicating, or maybe it's just not the right part for them. The partner can tell. I found that to be very challenging over Zoom. Is it obvious to you guys when somebody has it, immediately, versus when somebody is completely off their game?
You mean as doing
when you're paired up in a Zoom audition, when you have if you're with husband and wife or what have you, and you guys are on different pages, obviously different pages.
Well, I mean, any Zoom audition that I've had with pairing and couples are real couples or real roommates or
okay.
real,
Okay.
so I haven't actually had to pair anybody up, via Zoom. Because I mean, there's platforms that allow for it right now, but I personally haven't needed to do any of that because
okay.
each one of my Zooms have, like, yes, there have been partners, but we've all read everybody individually as if, and then we'll have the reader or myself be a reader for them so that we can have a connection there.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was
But
on a call.
that's not saying that other casting directors aren't doing that. There are obviously some casting directors that are pairing people up via Zoom, and they say look to your right or look to your left as if that person's right there. Yeah.
And you're like, is it mirrored? Am I doing this?
Well,
in the right
what's
direction?
interesting is that it mirrors what we see is the opposite side of what you see. So if I say right, it'll probably like turn right now. Yep, it's your left. So it's the opposite.
So because you're watching us, so it's the mirror image of what we're doing.
Right.
Right, left, right,
yeah,
left.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Do you think that do you think that the rooms are going to come back? Are we going to actually be ever be in the room again?
Look, I will. There's a lot of actors that think, casting directors, commercial casting directors, we're doing them a favor because we're doing the lighting, we're doing the camera op, we want rooms to come back. Trust me, because it is actually less work for us to give you direction and find good work.
100%. Yes. Yeah.
We don't want it this way at all. But also, the clients don't have multiple days to pay us to have these long castings for the same amount of roles where we could have done in a day or 2 days. Now it's like they need 4 days and they don't have the budget for that, or they don't allow for the budget for that. So
has the turnaround time changed in terms of like from starting of the casting process to your date of booking your talent? Has it really changed all that much? Oh, you disappeared again. There you are.
Hello? Yeah, sorry. Yes and no. I've still had projects that are like, we need this cast in 4 days. And I'm like, okay, but give me the breakdown now and we'll see what we get. There's not going to be a callback. And you know what I mean? It's, or yeah, I mean, thankfully most producers know like, hey, we're going to need this in a couple weeks. What's the time frame that you need? What are we looking at? What are the options that we have? And so we'll present them with different options with, the Zoom callback, the self tapes and how they look. And, so it's yes and no. We still have the same clients that are like, can we get this done tomorrow?
Do they give you the information for what they're aiming for in terms of their COVID testing and safety on the spot? Like when you do your breakdown and everything?
Yes. I actually, on all my breakdowns, I write down what they like, whether it's like they will be testing for COVID prior to the shoot. They will be adhering to CDC guidelines on shoot day. I have to ask those things because, at the end of the day, it is production's responsibility, but I'm still the person in the middle that are finding these people. And I have a sense of responsibility to my actors as well, So even though it's not my production and I'm kind of the middleman, I feel responsible that like this needs to be taken care of if you're going to have me do this kind of work to grab people that, I bring in. Yeah.
I mean, you're part of that kind of that safety net. You're part of that block.
Right.
Because right now we do have, there's productions out there who are trying to skim. There's productions who are trying to skirt and cut around edges and stuff like that and not being safe. And we're at a tipping point right now here in Los Angeles. I mean, like, I think a lot of the rest of the country is starting to figure out that, we are, this entire thing is kind of at a tipping point. Do we want a Christmas? We're gonna have to really buckle down now. 3 months out. If 2 months out, you got to buckle down now for Christmas. You got to buckle down now for going into next year. You want Thanksgiving?
I mean, the thing is, I don't think anything's gonna really change until they have a vaccine in some way. A reliable vaccine,
a feasible, reliable vaccine. Yeah, 100%. And that on its own is a total another set of conversation points that we could talk about, but I'd probably need at least 3 drinks to really have this conversation and go through it. Okay, so there's one thing that I've been getting this kind of, a lot of actors have been kind of throwing this at me, and I'm kind of getting annoyed at it. I'd love to get a definitive answer. I don't think there is one, but I'm still going to ask you, what kind of influence does social media have currently on casting?
You know, to be honest, it just depends on the project. Now, if I'm casting a music video, that would have some leverage, you know, because it depends on the artist. If it's a big artist or if it's an up and coming artist, you know, up and coming artist, and you have a influencer that has a huge amount of following, that would benefit the artist. If you have, you know, but in commercials and branding and things like that,
Unless they want
if you're a big enough influencer, you're gonna want to be paid to advertise, hypothetically, Colgate on your page, you know, so you wouldn't even put it out there really unless Colgate is paying you. So you know, and Colgate is not going to want to put the money out because they're already putting money out for you to be on a broadcast commercial. So you know what I mean? So it's not it, to be honest, I think it's important to some degree, but I feel like for a lot of commercials right now, no. I know a lot of agencies. I personally know a lot of commercial agencies that was really touting the whole social media side. We need to, and that's important to some for sure. But I know a lot of agencies that have dropped that side now because it's not that important in the commercial world.
It also doesn't necessarily reflect upon talent or your ability to actually promote a job or a brand.
Not at all. I mean, you have to be on a scale like of millions and millions of followers. But if you have that, you're going to be sought after, not auditioning.
Yeah, you're going to be given an offer. You're going to be offered. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because they know that if you have a built-in audience of 2 million followers, then you're going to have even a 10%. So that's 200,000 eyes on whatever you push out there. And they're going to negotiate a contract where they pay you to have it on just your site or to use it and cross over like Twitch does with a bunch of different gamers, or how Instagram does with their influencers. And they'll try to, and for the amount of money that they could shoot a commercial for, they could pay you out completely for a year and be your primary sponsor or a sponsor or two. They wouldn't even go through the idea of having a commercial for most of these things and let you make your own content. Because guess what? You make your own content anyways, right? So our time is going to be running a little bit short here in just a little bit. But okay, Bex, I got to ask you, like, what's more fulfilling? Is it more fulfilling being in front or behind the camera?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, I got you on that one. Ha ha ha.
Well,
that was my ace in the sleeve. That was my
okay. So I will say this: I love being a casting director because I love being able to see the smile on my friends' faces, smile on people's faces when they book a job, and you know. At one point, I remember thinking to myself, I was like, if I wanted to be a talent scout, I'd be really good at this because I can feel, I can see talent from like a mile away. I know when someone is like, you know, there's people that I brought in that I'm like, oh, that person's gonna blow up, and have seen blown up now, you know, and so there's something really beneficial and fruitful for me to want to give in that way as a casting director. You know, there's a lot, it's so interesting because a lot of actors have reached out to me and said, you know, Becky, you're like a really great casting director. You're so helpful, giving, you know, and I'm like, well, I'm an actor's casting director because I understand, and I don't want to make it difficult. I want to make it as easy and painless as possible, because it should be a painless process. There are casting directors out there that don't have that kind of filter and make it really terrifying for the actor, you know.
Oh, I had one of those experiences recently. We'll talk about that in a second.
I actually went, and this was a theatrical, and I kept my composure, but in my head I was like, you could make this a lot easier. Why don't you? I feel seasoned enough to, you know, I'm comfortable coming in, you know, I'll read for you. Great. I read and I felt good about it. But there's a part of me that was like, it was so cold on the other side that why is that necessary? Where's the warmth? You know, I don't need you to be like, oh my God, thanks for coming in. Not at all. Not at all. But just some kind of warmth to you.
Like,
and
you want me
the coldness
here.
Makes it terrifying.
I want you to want me here. You know, I want you to want me.
I
to be
want
here.
you to want me here. 100%. Because that's exactly what I show my actors when they come in. I want you here.
Yeah. And
I
every
thank
time
you for being here.
every time I get a message from you inviting me to a casting, I go, Becky's doing this because she knows that this is something I can do. And
Yeah.
that's one of the great things. I think that's why people tell you it's like you're a great casting director, is because they know you're not wasting their time. And I
Yeah.
think that that's really important. This casting, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name products or even what it was for. It was definitely one of the first auditions that I had received for a self-tape during this new normal, during this COVID period. I received the notification directly, even though I wanted to go through my agent for it. I messaged back casting and messaged my agent and said, cool, just giving you a heads up, I'm going to self-tape for this. Everyone said, okay, that's fine. I sent the self-tape in via WeTransfer, which is not, in my opinion, I personally feel as if, since it's not it's not one of the big three or big four even in terms of sites to send stuff in, I was already worried about it. And then the day the self-tape was due, I got a call from the casting director who basically told me that I was wasting their time because I hadn't received my tape. And
Wait, I'm sorry. The casting director called you directly and said you're wasting their time because they had not received your tape.
Where she said, it literally said, where's your tape? And I said, oh, I sent it via WeTransfer. And she goes, I never received it. You're wasting our time. And I responded back by saying, I have a receipt, because you get a receipt when you send something via WeTransfer. And I said, I'll email it to you if you'd like. And she goes, yeah, can you email it to this one? I said, cool, let me get multiple emails from you so I can send it to another one just in case there's something wrong with maybe perhaps your email. And I sent it to both of her emails. She received the receipt, clicked on the receipt, downloaded the audition, and then afterwards said, well, we've deemed that it's a problem with you because your receipt had less numbers in the invoice number than the other ones we received, so you must have done something wrong. That's what she said in the last response I received from her. And it is one of those situations where I've been doing this for 15 years plus, and I have never been talked down to in a way in which, and basically, let's put it this way. I knew the role was going to be a stretch for me, so I had a distinct feeling that it wasn't going to be probably the best audition, comparably speaking. I did my best on the audition that I possibly could, but the way that she responded to me made me feel as if, in the first place, I was not wanted or needed. And this is somebody who is big enough where I would expect them to have much more reliable means. Oh, and by the way, she, at the end of the conversation on the phone, she had mentioned that she hadn't received tapes from more than 5 people.
From more than 5 people?
More than 5 people out of the people that she had asked to self-tape. And this is the day it's due, by the way. I sent the tape in 4 days before that. And it's on the receipt that I forwarded to her. She requested me to audition. My self-tapes come in within 6 to 10 hours of a self-tape request, even if it's for 5 days later. I was told, be the first one in. Be the first one in, because you never know if someone's going to
If they
be
find
found.
who
If
they
find what
like,
they
they
want,
won't see any more.
That's it. They won't see more. And even if you're not perfect for it, if you're in the running and they find 3 or 4 people that are in the running, they may just cut it off at that too. You never know. So it felt to me as if it was like a big, it's your fault aspect, which you never want to hear as a actor when you do your business,
so sorry that happened to you.
It's okay.
I mean, especially to blame you for something that's about technology because they need something done and they could.
Yeah, you see, now you're mad for me too. I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, if I had 5 or 6 people that I requested for self-tape, you best believe I'm calling them or their agent daily saying, just wanted to follow up and make sure you're still going to send it by this day on this day. And then the next day, okay, we're getting really close. So just want to make sure you're still going to be sending it.
And also on top of that, I told her on the first conversation, I said, I would like my agent to be handling this from now on. And that on its own should have been enough of an indication to directly reach out to talent after that and to kind of place the blame on me when my agent and I have been together for 15 years almost. And
We have to talk about this offline in a
we
minute.
sure do. We sure do. I'm glad I opened up this whole can of worms. Speaking of talking about it offline, we've been chatting around for almost about an hour now. This has been absolutely wonderful, Bex. I love you. I miss your face.
Oh, you too.
It's just like one of those things where like I see YJ every once in a while on Twitch, and he's one of our faves. He's on there all the time gaming. Him and Vic are always on gaming, and I just, gosh, it's like really hard that I can see you like this, but I can't give you a big old hug because you actually, I think I auditioned for you as one of the last auditions that we had before COVID actually kicked in. I think I went in for you.
Oh,
for
really?
something over at Space Station. Yeah. I think I did.
Oh, and that's another sad thing.
Oh,
Space
yeah.
Station.
Speaking of which, let's talk about that really fast. Brick and mortars are gone. They're disappearing left and right.
Yep.
Like, what are we going to do? Like, there's no Space Station. 200 South only has, like, Ross is there. He's the only one there now, I
Ocean
think.
Park is gone.
Ocean Park is gone. The brand new place that they had opened for casting station, I guess it was, over on on Wilshire. They had just moved. I think Elevator had just moved over there or something like that.
Castaway.
Yeah, sorry, Castaway. Yeah, Castaway had just moved over there.
They're still there.
Oh, they're still there, but it's like there's nothing to do because we're not
Nothing
having
to
the other
do
stuff.
because there's. I mean, yes, 200 South is having
R&B
in-person
moved over
slowly.
to R&B moved over to Larchmont, over in the Larchmont area on Wilshire
Okay.
also, and they, I guess, are not using their space anymore too. Obviously, they've been doing all their stuff digitally too. It's gonna be very weird. All the places are gonna be different if we actually do get past this and come back physically, because all the physical places will be gone. Like,
oh, I want to bring something up. In casting, a lot of people are like, "Oh, how come like my ratio?" Like I had a friend that said my ratio of callbacks, to booking is just dropped ever since like going through all these auditions. But I was saying to them, a lot of times if they don't need a callback, they're booking directly from a self tape, and a lot of my jobs don't need that actual callback because it's just a look and action. If it's dialogue based, I probably will need a callback. If it's no dialogue based, a lot of it's just action, and they're booking off self tapes.
yeah, don't
And
take
so
it
they
personally.
bypass the
Don't take it
whole
personally. Yeah.
avail, and it's just like this is who they want. They already saw the tape, and we just want them. And it's
And guess
oh,
what? Everybody's
gotta-
available right now too. I mean, a lot of people aren't doing as much stuff as they used to. Oh no, there you are. A lot of people aren't doing as much stuff as they used to. So guess what? A lot of people are much more available than they used to be. There's less theatrical stuff. There's no movies right now filming. So those people who were booking machines on commercials and then disappeared for a while to do film and television, Aaron Takahashi, are doing. Are back to doing commercials now because guess what? They've got a lot more time, and some of them have new babies. So like, and the world isn't going to stop spinning, and we are in a point right now where people like you, Bex, are going to be so important because of the fact that actors, some people don't know what to do, and it's just wonderful that you've been able to talk about this, and I know that you're always going to be a beacon moving forward for that. So I thank you so much for.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
We are going to end the live stream right now, and then you and I are going to chalk and have some tea.
I want to hear.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I'm Kenzo Lee. This is Becky Wu. Do you want to tell anyone where they can meet you at if they want to find you online or anything?
Yeah, you know what? You can add me if you'd like at Orange Street Casting. Or if you want to reach out, you can go to orangestreetcasting@gmail.com. And I don't really have a Facebook Orange Street Casting page.
That's for old folks, like
it's
me.
just the Instagram. The gram is the
It's
way
the
to
grams.
go.
Yeah, it's how you keep in touch
Yeah.
with grandma now. Yeah. All right, guys.
So
Thank
just
you guys
message
so
me
much.
there if you guys want to reach out, and I'd love to help in any way I can. Honestly.
Sweet. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. We've got some great guests coming up the next few weeks. Ron Yuan, Elaine Uy is
Ron
gonna come on.
Ron!
Ron's going to come on. We're going to talk some Mulan action. We're going to talk about Paper Tigers, which is premiering at the Los Angeles Asian American Film Festival. I think that's what it's called still, right? LA Asian American Film Festival? No, it's not VC anymore.
Oh, geez.
They have two different acronyms. It's not VC
VC.
anymore. Is it VC
Oh.
still? It's not VC
I don't know,
anymore.
actually.
We'll figure
I'm
it
really
out.
bad with this.
But both Elaine and Ron are going to be in that bad boy. We also have some folks coming up from Collider and some folks coming up from things like AMC. We're going to talk about movies reopening and stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. I'm going to end this stream. I will see you guys later. Bye.
Peace.